that would beyond the world. Chapter 4. Storm befalls the Bartholomew and she is driven off her course. Now swift sailed the Bartholomew for 4 weeks toward the northwest with a fair wind, and all was well with ship and crew. Then the wind died out on even of a day, so that the ship scarce made way at all, though she rolled in a great swell of the sea, so great that it seemed to ridge all the main athwart. Moreover, down in the west was a great bank of cloud huddled up in haze, whereas for 20 days past the sky had been clear, save for a few bright white clouds flying before the wind. Now the shipmaster, a man right cunning in his craft, looked long on sea and sky, and then turned and bade the mariners take in sail and be right heedful. And when Walter asked him what he looked for, and wherefore he spake not to him thereof, he said surlily, Why should I tell thee what any fool can see without telling, to wit that there is weather to hand? So they abode what should befall, and Walter went to his room to sleep away the uneasy while, for the night was now fallen, and he knew no more till he was waked up by great hubbub and clamor of the shipmen, and the whipping of ropes, and thunder of flapping sails, and the tossing and weltering of the ship withal. But being a very stout-hearted young man, he lay still in his room, partly because he was a landsman and had no mind to tumble about amongst the shipmen and hinder them, and withal he said to himself, What matter whether I go down to the bottom of the sea, or come back to Langton, since either way my life or my death will take away from me the fulfillment of desire. Yet soothly if there hath been a shift of wind, that is not so ill, for then shall we be driven to other lands, and so at the least our homecoming shall be delayed, and other tidings may hap amidst of our tarrying. So let all be as it will. So in a little while, in spite of the ship's wallowing and the tumult of the wind and waves, he fell asleep again, and woke no more till it was full daylight, and there was the shipmaster standing in the door of his room, the sea-water all streaming from his wet weather raiment. He said to Walter, Young master, the seal of the day to thee. For by good hap we have gotten into another day. Now I shall tell thee that we have striven to beat, so as not to be driven off our course, but all would not avail, wherefore for these 3 hours we have been running before the wind, but, fair sir, so big hath been the sea that but for our ship being of the stoutest, and our men all yawer, we had all grown exceeding wise concerning the ground of the mid-main. Praise be to St. Nicholas and All Hallows. For though ye shall presently look upon a new sea, and maybe a new land to boot, yet is that better than looking on the ugly things down below. Is all well with ship and crew then? Said Walter. Yea, forsooth, said the shipmaster, verily the Bartholomew is the darling of Oakwoods, come up and look at it, how she is dealing with wind and waves all free from fear. So Walter did on his foul weather raiment, and went up onto the quarter deck, and there indeed was a change of days, for the sea was dark and tumbling mountain high, and the white horses were running down the valleys thereof, and the clouds drave low over all, and bore a scud of rain along with them, and though there was but a rag of sail on her, the ship flew before the wind, rolling a great wash of water from bulwark to bulwark. Walter stood looking on it all a while, holding on by a stay-rope, and saying to himself that it was well that they were driving so fast toward new things. Then the shipmaster came up to him and clapped him on the shoulder and said, Well, shipmate, cheer up, and now come below again and eat some meat and drink a cup with me. So Walter went down and ate and drank, and his heart was lighter than it had been since he had heard of his father's death, and the feud awaiting him at home, which forsooth he had deemed would stay his wanderings a weary while, and therewith all his hopes. But now it seemed as if he needs must wander, would he not, and so it was that even this fed his hope, so sore his heart clung to that desire of his to seek home to those 3 that seemed to call him unto them.